What is up, guys? How y'all doing today? Welcome back to the channel for another episode of Retro Reviews. So welcome to the Indianapolis Colts season summary pregame show. So I took the Colts through a season on a challenge, right? So, hey Josh, check out that record, man. It wasn't 14-2. As you can see, we went 11-5 on the season with the Colts. We could have went 12-4, possibly 13-3. We did lose a couple close games, just by like a field goal in overtime, and we actually lost the last game of the season to the Bucks, right? By a field goal, 17-14. Jeff George had a pretty bad day. I think he had like 3 or 4 interceptions, and you could see that because Tampa Bay does have a great defensive backfield. So before I get into the stats on how we did and also explaining what the challenge was, there are some games left to be completed in the last week of the season, because oddly enough, I've never, I don't really recall this. I mean, some things that stick out to you, but I'm not going to show the divisions. But the NFC divisions, I'll show them. The division winners have already been crowned. Giants won the East already. They're 11-4. Them and the Redskins both have a game to go, but still, Giants already won the division. In the Central, the Bears won the division already, and then the West, the Niners, of course. Okay, so each division in the NFC, the division winner has already been determined. But in the AFC, the East, the Central, and the West, it's still up for grabs. It's still yet to be determined, and here we are, the last week of the season. So here we go, right? Buffalo, they play Detroit, so that's the one that's going to affect us. So if Buffalo wins, we will have the same record. So Buffalo, let's just go ahead and go to there, so you can see that. Yeah, Buffalo is they're 10-5. So if they win, they'll be 11-5, same record. So then it's going to come down to points. So hopefully, come on, Detroit Lions, can you do us a solid here? But we'll just have to wait and see. Also, let's just go ahead and here in the Central, the Oilers are 9-6. So if they would lose to the Giants, which is a very good possibility, then it's going to come down to points between them and the Steelers, aka snoozer losers. And then in the West, it's coming down between the Raiders and the Seahawks, oddly enough, right? It's going to be the same thing. If the Seahawks would win, it would come down to points. So it's like, I don't recall, again, all 3 divisions of the AFC possibly coming down to points, because of the 2 teams having possibly the same record. But we don't know yet. We'll have to see how things turn out. So we're simulating the rest of the way. So let's see what happens. The Houston Oilers, AFC Central Division champs. Dang it, Buffalo beat Detroit. And the Raiders take the West. I guess we're saving ours for last. The Indianapolis Colts, division champs. So, yep, came down to points. We'll have to check that out. Saints 12-4, huh? Well, so the other divisions didn't come down to points because the Oilers took care of business and won, so they had a better record. And the Seahawks didn't take care of business, so that gave the Raiders the one game advantage. But with us here, we did have identical records there, both 11-5 with Buffalo, but we were better on the points. So there you go, comes down to points, right? Point differential. So Miami's in there at 10-6. Oilers only team from the Central, and Raiders and Seahawks from that division. We got Giants, Eagles, Redskins from the East in the playoffs. Just the Bears from the Central, and the Niners and the Saints. Saints 12-4. Saints do good on here sometimes. Sometimes. Okay, so there you go. So we will be looking at our opponent will either be the Seattle Seahawks or the Houston Oilers in the division round. All right, let's go to our stats. See how we did. So let's just describe what was the challenge. Basically, this was my starting lineup. So I kept Jeff George in at quarterback, which he's actually, I actually prefer Jack Trudeau if I'm going to play with him, because he's rated a little bit better on basically on the pass control. And he's on bad now, so ain't going to show it now, but you know. But yeah, when they're both on average, Jack Trudeau has I think it is just one notch, but his passing speed is a little slower, which actually helps to get you some jump ups. But anyways, the challenge was basically to take out the receivers and the tight end. So I played the backup receivers and tight end. So Clarence Verdun and Stanley Morgan was my starting wideouts, and Orson Mobley replaced Pat Beach at tight end. That was the challenge, right? Because, the Colts they're basically the worst team on the game. So, Bentley, he's 50 on good, okay? But if a running back is for me, a challenge for running back, he's got to be, if his speed is under 50 when he's on average, then I still will use him. All right, so let's just start with our quarterback here. Well, let's just go to this screen here. Jeff George, how to do for the season? 68. He completed 68% of his passes for 3,363 yards, 31 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Only 4 runs for 22 yards. I think that might be my record for lowest amount of runs for a quarterback. Only 4 scrambles, right? There probably was times I tried to scramble, but it didn't get past the line of scrimmage. He got sacked because he is slow when he's on average. He's just I think he's just 6, maybe. Yeah, Jack Trudeau did see playing action because Jeff George against the Chicago Bears got injured right about second quarter, I believe. It was a tough game. Jack Trudeau came in a tough situation. It was later in the year, and he went 4 for 6 for 185 yards and a touchdown, right? And helped us beat the Bears. You know, he came in on a tough situation. When George got hurt, it was a tie ball game, kind of I'm going to say maybe second quarter or third quarter, or probably early third maybe. But basically, Jack Trudeau played half of the game. I'm going to say probably the second half. So yeah, it was tied at 14 when he came in, but he actually gave the team a spark. We went on to beat the Bears by more than 2 touchdowns. So Jack Trudeau came in and gave us a spark, right? So Jeff George did come back the next game though. All right, Ivy Joe Hunter, 23 runs, 103 yards, 10 rushing touchdowns. Also 10 catches for 172 yards. Our Albert Bentley, our main running back, 139 attempts for 1,287 yards and 22 rushing touchdowns, over a 9-yard average. Also 12 receptions for 330 yards and a touchdown. Albert Bentley, pretty good season there, almost 1,300-yard season. Anthony Johnson, he was mainly on our special teams guy on the kick returns. Just a couple catches, 34 yards, but as you can see there, the kickoff and punt return numbers. Ken Clark, our other running back, very limited action there. 3 runs for no yards. 7 kickoffs for 50 yards and 1 punt return for 10 yards. So he was just filling in here and there. Bill Brooks did not play. Jesse Hester did not play. Here we go. Clarence Verdun, 35 receptions, 1,109 yards, and 7 receiving touchdowns. He did see some special teams action because our running backs were getting hurt. I will say he did not get his first touchdown until I'm going to say week 6 or week 7. He had a lot of, good amount of catches and yards, but still not a touchdown yet. But he eventually got there and got it rolling in that department. But our other guy, Stanley Morgan, he was more of the touchdown maker. He had 30 grabs for 1,064 yards and 17 receiving touchdowns. So Stanley Morgan was getting it done, in the touchdown department. So Verdun had 5 more catches for about 100 and some more yards. 7 touchdowns, but Stanley Morgan had 10 more touchdowns. I think he'd probably trade those 5 catches for 10 more touchdowns, right? Pat Beach did see a little bit of action because my tight end Orson Mobley got hurt, so he had 5 catches for 76 yards and a touchdown, and also 1 rush for a 2-yard touchdown run. There's Orson Mobley, 36 catches, 763 yards, and 6 receiving touchdowns. So Orson Mobley, pretty good season here. Our kicker, Dean Biasucci, he connected on all 65 extra point attempts, and he was 13 out of 15 on field goals. Ron Stark, 5 punts for 323 yards, 64.6 yard average. So Mike Horan still has my record of the 72.6 yard average. So for you believers out there, that number is significant. The 726 is the is Harpazo in the Strong's Concordance. If you're not a believer, you probably don't have any idea what I'm talking about. Anyways, all right, let's go to the defense. John Hand had 8 sacks. Pretty good season for him. Harvey Armstrong, 5 sacks. He came on late in the season. Sam Clancy, 4 sacks. I believe he played for Cleveland at one point. I'm not sure if it was before he went to the Colts or after. Dwayne Bickett, just 1 sack. Fred Young, 3 sacks. Jeff Harrod, 1 sack. And Chip Banks had nothing. Eugene Daniel had nothing. Chris Good had nothing. Mike Pryor had 3 interceptions for 8 yards. And Keith Taylor had 4 interceptions for 13 yards. So Keith Taylor and Pryor are probably the 2 best guys. Good and Daniel. I might use Daniel in the playoffs against the, I said against the Oilers, probably because I have an inkling that the Oilers are going to take care of business against the Seahawks, but we'll have to see. Let's go to league leaders here. Passing, how did we rank here with Jeff George? He was number 5 in the league. Now, how about that? Jim Harbaugh, I don't know, I don't recall seeing that there too often. Jim Harbaugh in the top, not only the top 10, but the top 5 quarterbacks. It's like, and you know, that's against the computer, so I guess that's why they had the good season and won their division. So Montana, Sims, Kelly, Harbaugh, Jeff George, Warren Moon, Jim Everett, John Elway, Dave Craig, and Bubby Brister was the top 10. Bubby Brister ahead of Dan Marino? No way. Well, I guess the interceptions there. Marino had 14 interceptions, and Brister only had 9. So Brister had a pretty good year. Even he almost got him in the playoffs, but not quite. Receiving, let's see, let's go to, we're not going to, wow, Jerry Rice, 75 catches, 2,000 yards receiving, 23 touchdowns. The Rice man is a beast on the game. Now let's go to yards reception. It might be there. There we go. Stanley Morgan, number 1, yards per catch. Clarence Verdun, number 3. How about receiving touchdowns? Well, Rice is there, but Stanley Morgan is right there tied for number 2 with Henry Ellard. Pretty good company there. How about rushing? Bo Jackson, number 1, but hey, Albert Bentley, number 2 behind Bo. So Bo beat us by about 500 and some yards, about 550 yards. But still, Albert Bentley, heck of a season. I'm going to say he's still going to be going to the Pro Bowl. How about our punter, Ron Stark? I usually do lead in punting. How about the sacks? Derek Thomas of the Chiefs edged out Charles Haley with 24 sacks over 23. Kickoff returns. Tim Brown of the Raiders. Okay. Punt returns. Williams of the Eagles, huh? Okay. Drury of the Bucks, number 2. How about interceptions? Gilbert of the Chargers, Joey Browner, Dave Waymer. Waymer's always up there. Reynolds on the Bucks. And the scoring leader, Jerry Rice. And Ernest Biner and Albert Bentley tied at 23. How about that? Three-way tie for number 1. Anderson and Smith. Wow, Sammy Smith had 20 touchdowns, huh? There's our league leaders. How about our team rankings? Well, we had the number 6 offense in the league. Number 3 passing. Number 19 rushing. How did we do on defense? Oh, yeah. Number 11. We gave up 4,379 yards. Ooh. It was number 11 against the pass. Number 16 against the run. So, yeah, the Colts defense, yeah, they're not good. You know, they don't have their front 7. Well, any of them, really. I mean, they have a few, like, decent players. Like, in the backfield, really. But the front 7, shit. Not really. I mean, they're a couple of the defensive linemen are okay. They got the good hitting power, but still, overall the Colts defense is bleh. All right, so let's get this party started here. Let's simulate the wild card games, and we'll determine who's moving on, and also see who our opponent is going to be tonight. First up, Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins in the wild card. Winner to move on to face the Raiders. Miami with a touchdown in overtime propels them to face the Los Angeles Raiders in the divisional round. Saints Eagles. The winner to take on the Giants. Ooh, close game, but the Eagles get the edge there, 30-28. So the Eagles move on to face the Giants in the division round. So that could be an interesting game. All right, here's the game we're looking at. Houston Oilers, Seattle Seahawks, the winner to take on the Indianapolis Colts. So yeah, I knew it. I knew the Oilers. It's like it's possible. Maybe if I like reset it 20 times, then it would be like, okay, the Seahawks would, but first go around, no resets, I was like, Oilers all the way. So there you go. Houston Oilers, Indianapolis Colts, divisional playoff action tonight. Well, that's going to be a tough game. And final wild card game is Washington Redskins taking on the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. Oh, the Redskins with a Chip Lohmiller field goal in overtime. They go into the Windy City and went bear hunting, huh? How about that? So see, Bears were division champs and Redskins weren't, but none of that matters once it's the playoffs, right? You're in the tournament, anything can happen. Redskins moving on to take on the 49er juggernaut. So the Redskins, I know the Redskins are happy, but it's like, well, that's cool, we won, but now look who we got to play. So there you go, guys. There's our wild card game simulated. So we'll hope to see it tonight when we take on the Houston Oilers from the RCA Dome. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you tonight. So until next time, have a good one, okay? And I'll see you when I see you. But if this is your first time to the channel, tap subscribe, then the bell, ding ding, so you're notified when I upload new videos. So until next time, guys, stay frosty, keep it retro, and come Lord Jesus.
We're fighters for truth, justice, and the American way.
And liftoff. We have liftoff. Challenger has cleared the tower.